Hey there, Reverend Sully, Eric O'Sullivan, ordained on the internet. The caveat, as always, please do not burn your hands holding on to my hot takes. If you do, well, that's on you. I was talking with one of my best friends the other day, and we're speaking about modern pop culture, modern storytelling, and if there's anything good when it comes to allegory these days. One of my constant gripes in pop culture and in modern fiction and storytelling for the past several years has been that activism is antithetically opposed to entertainment. Entertainment is about escapism. Activism needs to root you into the real world and keep reminding you about the problems that we have to make you do something about these problems. And but there are plenty of examples of allegory done right. I guess one of the most consistent arguments for agenda-laden storytelling in this day and age is, well, popular culture fictions have always been political. Not so. They've always had, or not as they are today. I mean, seriously, are there any conservative values that are as highly extolled as, or as virtuous, or as respected as what's being offered in popular fictions today? No, it's intrinsically imbalanced to begin with. So are there good examples of allegory on how to, have a story that can be interpreted with a political or moral meaning? I mean, the messaging today it lacks nuance, and it's about didactic learning moments. These are being used as learning tools, and stories are being used as what we call today as platforms to advance agendas. And they're very one-sided. And as I said, it's so imbalanced. I need a left and a right wing in order to achieve and sustain flight. If you have just one wing, you're just going to flop around. I mean, where's the value in that? And not representing everyone, or trying to get as many people buying the product or viewing the story as possible. You're shunning a complete half of a population in order to what? To virtue signal? Okay, but let's get back to the point. What are good examples of allegory? It's nothing recent, except for, let's see, with the exception of probably BoJack Horseman, or Karate or Cobra Kai, which seem to be the best examples of modern storytelling done right. Giving you a message, showing you nuance, giving you the opportunity to think for yourself, to come to conclusions, and to marvel at something just like, wow, this was finally produced and given to us. What a masterpiece. I'm going to go to the past and give examples of the past, which are, in my humble opinion, are the best examples of allegory that can use a storytelling to successfully convey and interpret these ideas of morality and occasionally politics. First off is the original Twilight Zone by Rod Serling. That was an amazing experience growing up with. Pithy. 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 And it's, aphorisms that are just, they're entertaining, they're fun, they're dynamic, they're engaging, sometimes horrific, sometimes gruesome, sometimes science fiction, but everything had a balanced point. It was about making you think, about taking you places that you've never been before. not necessarily headlines ripped from the news and trying to, remind you endlessly of what you should be concerned about. No, it was about engaging your mind and your imagination. Rod Serling pretty much was the trendsetter and the trailblazer of what was to come. Specifically, in my next example, Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek: The Original Series. I grew up a foot away from the television, watching this magnificent show that had such an impact on me, on my young developing mind. Mr. Spock in particular, and his analytical and scientific way that he could be, emotional, yet balanced with a rationality, and never answered questions. It just gave you the opportunity to think for yourself. Most specifically, my favorite example of this show, this great show, is Season 2, Episode 23, The Omega Glory, when Kirk and company come to an alternate Earth where it was post-apocalyptic, and there were two warring tribes, the Yangs and the Khans, and they had this document, this holy document the Yangs had, and where they mispronounced something, E plebnista. Well, E plebnista was we the people, and it was the opening of the United States Constitution. And I'll paraphrase it, that Kirk said that, the Yangs were the Yankees, and the Coms were the communists, and that E plebnista, we the people, can only work and matter if it applies to both the Yangs and the Khans. And this is something, a level of nuance, that is not offered in today's didactic, agenda-laden, virtue signaling, platforming. There is always an otherness to who doesn't agree with you. I just wholesale reject that notion. It's not entertaining. There's no fun in it. There's no making up your own mind. It's oppressive. Yeah, and it's what's being sold today. So that's why I go to the past for these entertainments. Another great example of allegory, and it's still in the Star Trek universe, I'm going to use two more. The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. And The Next Generation carried on that tradition of Star Trek, of balanced nuance, of allegory, of using your imagination to tell stories that are not quite earthbound, but yet are using imaginary cultures to not solve our problems, but to illuminate them, and to let us think about, in an entertaining way, about these Earth concerns. And Deep Space Nine in particular, you were given from the get-go the planet of Bajor, which was an oppressed and occupied planet. The Bajorans were captives of the aggressive Cardassians. And so you can always make a point that, they must be talking about Palestine between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Or they could be talking about this culture and that culture. Or they can be talking about the history of occupation and of oppression, using imaginary cultures and imaginary people to illuminate these ideas. Also, I'm going to go into just a little bit the new Battlestar Galactica by Ronald D. Moore and Ike from 2004, specifically again with New Caprica and the occupation, the Cylon occupation of the humans on New Caprica, and the levels that the humans went to resist the occupation. Were they actually trying to make you empathize with terrorists? Maybe so, maybe not. But that's where the nuance lies. That's where the key to your imagination, for you to interpret. Was it specifically about a modern day occupying nation oppressing a sovereign nation state and culture and people? Or was it about these imaginary cultures facing the same problems that humans have all throughout our histories? It doesn't have to specifically be about current events. It's about the human condition. And that's what makes it art. And that's what gives us the joy of entertainment with interpretation. So I'm going to leave it there. Just a couple of examples of allegory done right. When it's fun, when it's entertaining, and when it engages you on an emotional and intellectual and artistic level that is just sorely lacking in today's factory-based pop cultures when it comes to these well-loved properties. You know, it's just, there's a mindset coming from academia. They hire from elite colleges and they hire their own. And the talent has to toe the line, or else, like what happened to Gina Carano, they get fired and they get shamed. Why isn't there room for conservative values? Well, it's kind of obvious if you're paying attention. Someone's trying to win some kind of war, some kind of culture war. I don't think there are winners and losers. I don't have sides in my world. My world is round, and that's about it. I mean, nothing is doing right with these pop culture properties. They're just, it's a trend. And unfortunately, this is a backlash to what came before, to any conservatism or any edgelord humor or any this is its own backlash. And as it was said in Battlestar Galactica, this has happened before, this will happen again. There will be a backlash to this, and it is coming. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's just a shame that we can't have everyone be satisfied. It just has to be about satisfying one side. That's imbalance. That violates my most basic of spiritual teachings, the yin and yang. I mean, we need balance in life. If you're only coming from this one perspective, you're out of balance. And you're the one that needs some nuance. And you're the one that needs to respect who you claim is the other. Because there is no other. There is only ourselves and other people around us. That's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this kind of content, well, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, give me a thumbs down. I'm a big lad. I can handle it. Leave a comment in the comments section. Continue this conversation. I'll talk to you. Sure, I love reading comments. I do. I read them all. And give me a subscribe if you can. I'm an amateur theologian. I make Sunday sermons of spirituality. I'm an ordained minister. I'm also a professional chef. I make cooking videos, and what I'd love to do is turn you on to some restaurant quality cooking hacks so you can impress your family and loved ones with delicious, nutritious, and wonderfully beautiful food to please your loved ones and your family. And if you do, hit me with some pictures. I want to see what you created. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. And please remember, my American eagle, my metaphor of a successful people, culture, or nation has two wings, a right and a left wing. And there's many of us in the middle, in the body, on this journey. And we need both wings in order to sustain flight. We do. Is if you have one wing, we're just going to flop around and make ourselves vulnerable to other predators. Thank you so much. God bless and namaste. Cheers.